Hold on. Bike hit review. Check this shit out, boy. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. Wicked bike on. What? Yeah, I'm excited for this. I've been waiting for this moment.
Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
Nice to finally meet you.
You too.
So this is the Electron LEV, right?
This is the Electron light electric vehicle, yeah.
Very rad.
Yeah, and it is basically, it's a bike that's been designed to have as many of the comfort, convenience, and safety features of an automobile as possible, and still legally and spiritually be a bike.
Yeah.
And spiritually meaning it's got pedals, I use them, I like the exercise, I need it, I'm getting old and fat, you know.
Happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Look at all this carbon. This is unreal.
Yes.
Very much. And wow, yeah. And it's like all carbon, hey?
Well, the frame's aluminum. The seat, tailbox, fenders, side covers, and footwell and front fender are carbon. Mostly because nobody made these parts in the shapes I needed them, so I had to make them.
I bet. Where did you do all the carbon forming and stuff?
Here in Victoria. The whole
Dope.
bike is made here in Victoria.
Wow.
Yeah.
Turn signals and everything.
Yes. Here, I'll turn them off.
This is the strangest thing that's been on Bike Review so far.
You've had some pretty weird stuff on Bike Review.
A little bit. Yeah. Okay. You're true. But this is sweet because you made this.
Yeah. So this is the Electrom. I make them here in Victoria. Actually, the frame is laser cut and bent in Vancouver and then welded here in Victoria. I do all the carbon fiber work, all the wiring. I build the wheels. The electrical components come from a company in Vancouver called Grin Technologies. So I get my motors and that center console that basically monitors the whole state of the vehicle comes from them. And then the polycarbonate fairing is coming from Walsh Plastics in Vancouver. And it's all my design and using my molds.
So I guess you just have some linkage in here that rocks this up to there.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the things that took the longest to work out. What it actually is a cable. It's a continuous loop of cable that you can see. These are the guide pulleys down here. And so basically there's a pulley here and then a pulley mounted on the underside of the fork. And then that cable does the steering. And if you feel that, feel that steering.
Oh, it's buttery. There's like no resistance in that.
It has to be, because as you know, as a cyclist, right? As
Yeah.
soon as you've got something weird going on in your headset, it's like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
This does not
No
work.
doubt. And there's not like any play in it either. Like it is.
No, that was the thing, is you cannot, like, this vehicle is capable of going 70 kilometers per hour, only off-road, of course.
Right. Yeah, only off-road.
Only on non-public roads.
Yeah.
You cannot have any speed wobble or shimmy or anything. It's got to be rock solid. And it is, actually. This steering system, I've had it in use now for 5 years. This is a new bike. This is going to a customer, but it's basically been flawless.
How many have you sold so far?
This is number 7.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is going to a gentleman in Iowa.
Wow, that's a bit of a ways away. As you were saying, two-wheel drive, all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Front hub motor and rear hub motor.
Yeah, so, and there's a reason for that. It's actually more efficient this way. The front hub motor is a geared hub motor, which has a 5-to-1 planetary gear reduction, which makes it more efficient at low speed. So that helps get the bike up to speed. And also, key thing here is that it helps get the bike up to speed within the legal power limits for an e-bike here in BC. And then the rear hub motor is a direct drive hub motor, which means it does not have gear reduction, and the motor is directly connected to it's in the hub. So that supports regenerative braking. So squeeze the brake lever a little bit, the motor turns into a generator, slows you down, puts power back into the battery. The front hub motor, once the vehicle is going over 25 kilometers per hour, it's got a smart controller and it shuts down to save power.
Right.
Because every motor, regardless of how efficient, is costing you 15%.
Yeah.
So by dropping that motor at higher speeds, we save 15%.
There you go.
And that yields a range of 200 kilometers at the street legal speed of 32 kilometers per hour is the legal top speed for this.
Right. And 200 kilometers, as I assume, is that your max range on charge, or can you rip further than
Well,
that?
you can go a little further. It really actually depends on how much you're pedaling, because the other key thing about the Electrom is the operator is actually driving a generator that's producing electricity to supplement the battery.
Wild.
You are also connected to the back wheel via chain, but just with one very low gear.
Right.
So as soon as you're over about 10 kilometers per hour, that back wheel is just freewheeling and all of your energy is going into the onboard generator. And while this isn't the most efficient use of human energy, what it does do is it allows you to pedal at a constant cadence against a set resistance all the time.
Right.
If you want more exercise, you just pedal a little faster and the resistance curve goes up really quickly. And there are no gear shifts here. So
Dang.
I don't have to shift through any gears to match my human speed to the speed of the bike. I just pedal all the time.
At the consistent rate.
Also, a lot of times is, like if you're screaming down Mount Doug or something, you're not pedaling anymore because you're going as fast as you want to, you're pedaled out. On this, you can keep pedaling. You can even be pedaling
And
while
it has
braking.
That consistent resistance.
Yeah, it's got that consistent resistance, and if
smart.
you can even be braking and slowing down while continuing to pedal, and you're just storing energy back into the battery.
Could you technically be at a standstill with this and also pedal?
No,
Okay.
because you are connected to the back wheel via chain. So that's just using a simple freewheel. Once you're over about 10 kilometers per hour, then that back drive system is just freewheeling.
Gotcha.
So you could disconnect that chain and then you could just pedal.
Be a generator.
Just be a generator. The legality of that is a little bit fuzzy.
Right.
The ICBC and the BC Motor Vehicle Act hasn't really defined whether we're allowed to do what's called pedal by wire, which is create power, drive a motor.
Right.
This way, not only do you make sure that you're covering the legal definition of a bicycle, but it also allows you to, if you're on a really steep hill and trying to start up, that's a really hard situation for electric motor. It needs a huge amount of current. It gets hot. This way, the human being can supply some of that initial startup torque and get the bike up to speed, and then it switches over to pure electric power. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And what's cool is because it's just a freewheel, there's no switches to throw, no buttons to press, there's nothing.
Yeah.
The only buttons I have on this are my turn signals and my horn, basically, and that's it.
Very sweet. And that's all on this right guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So up,
So
down,
up
left,
is
right.
up is for left, and down is for right, and center is center, and then horn.
It's a good toot.
And then we've got reminders up here so that if you turn on the turn signal, it tells you like, hey buddy, your signal's on, because it's all about good communication on the road, and you want to make sure people know what's going on. And then we've got quite a powerful headlight. It's about 1,000 lumen headlight.
That's good.
yeah, it's enough, and I'm very careful to keep it pointed down because it doesn't make you any safer to blind oncoming traffic.
No, not quite.
And it doesn't flash, because that's another thing that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
How are you safer blinding oncoming traffic with a flashing light?
Yeah, no doubt.
But this bike is so visible that I've never felt unseen.
Totally.
And what's good about it is it's so weird that people just want to stay away from it. so it's
Totally
like,
fair.
What is that thing? I don't know. I'm just going to give it a
gonna say,
wide berth, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
nobody ever crowds me. So, we avoid that which we don't understand, right?
Totally. And it looks like you have a 125cc motorcycle tire up here.
Well, that's actually kind of a cool thing. These are 20-inch BMX rims. They're big, beefy BMX rims.
Right.
Because the BMX was actually based on a motocross wheel size, a 16-inch moped tire or motorcycle tire fits a 20-inch bicycle rim.
Wild.
They're both the same rim diameter, which I think is 406 millimeters, because they're based on the same thing. It's just that motorcycle defines it as the size of the rim, and in the bicycle world, for some reason, we describe it as the final size of the wheel with the tire on, despite the fact that we have different sized tires that can equal different
heights
radiuses,
and,
right?
Totally.
So the cool thing, those are Heidenau moped tires. They are speed rated to 90 kilometers per hour. They last a whole lot longer than BMX tires.
Yeah, I bet.
And they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And the tread on that one, that's a dual sport tire. It's kind of the perfect tread for city
And
country
goofing
use.
off on the road,
Yeah.
Or off-road,
Yeah, well, and also when I go up to the country, I live at the end of about a 2-kilometer gravel road, so it's good to have that kind of traction.
Totally.
And as a fringe benefit, they're really noisy.
Yeah.
Which is
good.
It is good on especially like on these bike paths. You want to let people know you're coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what shock do you have on here?
That is I originally started out using the Marzocchi dirt jumper forks, but they're not making them anymore.
Yep.
And so this is an RST dirt. which is a 26-inch mountain bike fork. It's a dirt jumping fork, so it's got a really heavy-duty crown. And RST was awesome. They actually custom made these forks for me.
Wild.
I just had to order 5, and they shipped them from Taiwan. And what they've done is they put dual springs in here and extra stiff springs, so it is tuned for the weight. I basically told them the weight of the vehicle and what I was doing with it, and they were like, "We think this will be good," and they shipped it off to me, and it was perfect.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And is it through axle or?
No, because almost all e-bike hub motors are bolt-on.
Gotcha.
There's a couple of super specialty motors that are doing through axle, but part of my logic here was I wanted this to be as repairable as possible by the end user. So I wanted to keep it as tame. Okay, it's not really tame, but use off-the-shelf parts.
Right.
So these are, wherever possible, the Electrom uses an off-the-shelf bike or e-bike part. So that my end user, they don't have to come back to me to get a new fork. They just go to RST.
Just open source, yeah.
Yeah, they
this
get
is
tires.
this is literally the Edison Motors of. Are you familiar with Edison Motors yet? Yeah, this is Edison Motors of e-bikes. It feels like
it is kind of
yeah.
I like what they're doing as well. And because once you're in this space, you pay attention to a lot of other stuff that's going on. Do you want to try it? I brought no, I'm not going to let you ride it around because this is a customer's bike. However, I do have a stand that you can try the generator chain drive.
There you go.
And see what the resistance is like while you're pedaling it. You want to give it a shot?
I'd give it a go.
All right.
Seems like I must do that.
So step across the front, back into the seat. Now you're a little taller than me, so I'm not going to adjust the seat. But so your knees might bump, but feet up on the pedals. You're off the ground.
This in cowboy boots is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But there's no way to get my baggy pants stuck in the chain, which is very nice.
No, and that was the other thing. Is that because this is designed for people to use driving to work and wearing their suits and everything else, it's like, no, you cannot have a greasy chain.
Yeah.
It's got to protect your lower body. So this fairing protects your lower body from the rain, so all you need is a jacket.
Right.
You don't need special rain pants and booties. You could wear those cowboy boots and not get them soaked.
Indeed.
And so start pedaling, and you will feel no resistance because basically you're just spinning and you haven't reached the threshold for generation, for power generation. Now pedal a little faster, and you'll start to feel resistance.
Once you go to...
And that SW stands for solar watts. That's you're generating 61
Oh,
watts
wow.
there.
You can like see watts here.
Yeah, so you're making 75 watts, 115 watts. Let's see what you can do.
I used to be a track spinner. Can I go on it?
Go for it. Oh yeah,
all right.
It's dialed. 38, 37. Come on, man. Come on, Seb. I thought you were a track spinner.
It's a little awkward in cowboy boots.
I did 600 once.
Oh God, now I have to try for 600. Okay, hold on here. Okay, there's 10.
Are you ready?
I'm gonna give a light reset here.
The recumbent position is new too, so.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm like.
And I was just kidding. I never did it.
Okay, let's see what I can do here.
All right, ready? Here we go. Smooth it out. 439. 439 watts. Now, the thing is, you got to remember, like, you probably have used a power tap hub.
Yeah.
This is measuring the power you're actually producing through a generator.
Right.
The power tap is designed to measure how much power you're outputting.
Right.
They're not the same things.
Yeah.
Right. So you probably on a power tap hub, you probably produce 600 watts, no problem.
Yeah.
Right. Versus on something like this, it's just a measure of how much you're actually generating. So it's a different thing. So the cool thing is, as you just discovered, basically you just pedal. So now go back to pedaling, and here's your throttle. So twist your throttle. So you're just pedaling along, and you're now going 35 kilometers an hour, but you haven't had to shift through any bicycle gears to match your pedaling speed to the speed of the vehicle. Crank that throttle wide open. We've got it in off-road setting. So you're going 76 kilometers per hour, and you're producing the same amount of power, and you haven't had to shift through any gears to match your pedaling speed to the speed of the vehicle. So
that's super sweet.
In a city setting where you've got all this stop and go traffic and stoplights, it's awesome. Oh, it also has cruise control, so it's locked on now. If you give the brake lever a squeeze, it'll shut it down.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's this has been in development for about 20 years, so I've had a lot of time to think about it and work this stuff out. And I can honestly say that It really works.
Yeah.
You know, I use this to drive up island to Hornby Island, which is a 250K trip.
Dang.
I do that in half a day. It's a really fun trip. I just like put on an audio book and just pedal on the side of the highway. But I also use it to go downtown and go grocery shopping or to go to a movie at night.
You got storage.
Yeah,
which
you
is
got
super
storage.
Sweet.
Yeah, and it's lockable. It basically won't open unless the ignition is on. There's a keyed ignition. And just like people avoid things they don't understand, people don't tend to steal things that they don't know what the market is for. So, actually, you know, I have had one stolen.
Right.
It was stolen from an underground parkade in Vancouver, and we never got it back. I think they probably stripped it down for batteries. But
Got to get the air tags.
yeah, exactly.
Air tags in it. Put an air tag in the trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got any other questions?
How does this you just
lift
lift
it
it
up.
up. It's literally just like a tailgate in a truck. And then does it just turn on the cruise control automatically?
You have to hold the throttle in the same position for 2 seconds. And you can adjust all that.
Right. Listen to that hub go. I don't hear a hub going that fast very often. Gotta put like Chris King hubs on this somehow.
Yeah, well, actually, there aren't a whole lot of high-end noisy free hubs on hub motors.
Oh, and then you just have the moped wheel, same front and rear?
Yeah, same front and rear, same rims, same tires. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any need to do it any differently. And then, as I was saying earlier, like all these carbon fiber parts, I looked around for years to try to find a fender that would work. I couldn't find one, you know, so I ended up having to make one. Like, I wouldn't choose to make all this stuff out of carbon, but once you've made a mold and you're laying out fiberglass, you might as well use carbon and go for the look.
No doubt. Can we look in here?
Yeah, you bet. In here, press a button to open. We've got about 100 liters of cargo storage, so, you know, quite a bit. I have a different version of the tail box that is longer and more open, which can carry a passenger.
Right.
And now that my kids are older and won't be caught dead anywhere near this thing, I don't need that so much anymore. However, the hatch does pop off.
Oh, that's sweet.
So if you wanted to, you could carry a smaller passenger.
Right, totally.
And as well, the whole tail box comes off with just 4 bolts, 2 here and 2 there. And you can put on a different, more cargo-oriented carrier that could also receive a bike seat.
Sweet.
So if somebody did want to carry a child around, they could do that in a safe manner. One
thing that could also be dope, just spitting here, mountain bike attachment. Through axle mountain bike attachment.
This one doesn't have it, but I do actually. I've got a bracket that comes off the back that receives my fork, and I just strap the wheel to it.
Yeah. So what do you have for like rear suspension?
Yeah, so the rear suspension, it's got 4 inches of front and rear travel using a D&M burner shock. I think it's about a 50 millimeter stroke. But yeah, it's basically your standard mountain bike oil and coil spring shock.
I wanted to talk about this, so I'm glad I haven't forgot this. So, like, first of all, we definitely got to get a shot of the like horn and turn signal sort of gadgets there. Yeah, this is really cool because this is just like this is fully open source, and you could like this is just a handlebar cut in half, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, just a 780 mil handlebar cut in half. This is a piece of 1 1/8" aluminum tubing, so that it takes. The only thing custom about it is that in here is another stem, and so the 1 1/8" tubing had to be shimmed up to the size of the stem for a handlebar. But yeah, one handlebar cut in half. If you ever dump this thing hard enough to bend a bar, you basically just pull it out and cut another $40 handlebar in half and replace it. And then the nice thing about using stems is that if I've got somebody who's got a longer reach, they can both tip the bars forward to get more reach, or they can add a longer stem to change that reach profile.
Super cool.
And then the seat is adjustable, handles anyone from about 5 foot up to about 6'4", depending on leg length.
Yeah. Wow, that's a huge range. Like these guys, where did these come from? What are these?
Those are motorcycle wind guards.
Okay, so those
they're
are like
about
pre-made.
$40 off of Alibaba or what have you. Yeah, wherever possible. I did end up making a lot of the body panels and parts myself because I had to, but wherever possible, I use something off the shelf.
Yeah, save costs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then people can buy it easily, like you said.
And yeah, and then the brakes are just hydraulic 4-piston e-bike brakes.
Sweet.
So they've got a built-in brake sensor, and that triggers the regenerative braking. And
So sorry, with the regenerative brake system, like all you have to do is rip the brakes and then it just like.
yeah, although, so ideally what you do, if you squeeze the lever a little bit, that triggers regen.
Okay.
And yet you haven't moved your calipers onto the disc to actually start physically braking.
Right.
So you basically just give the brake levers a little squeeze. That also triggers the brake light on the back
Right.
and tells motorists that you're slowing down.
Totally.
And it actually has what's called proportional regen. When you squeeze the brake lever, the throttle becomes a potentiometer that allows you to. The Electrom has what's called proportional regenerative braking, which is quite nice because it allows you to set how much regen braking you have on the fly. Whereas most e-bikes, if you squeeze the brake lever, it just triggers regen braking at a preset amount and you can't change that. On the Electrom, what happens is you squeeze a brake lever and that triggers the regenerative braking state. And while you're in the regenerative braking state, you can use the throttle to increase the amount of braking you have by twisting the throttle. And if you decrease the amount of twist, you basically decrease the amount of braking. And so this allows you to set exactly how much braking you've got in a given moment, and makes riding the bike a lot more kind of intuitive, and it's especially nice in stop and go traffic. It's a little weird to wrap your head around at first, but once you get used to it, it's a very easy and intuitive way to manage the speed of the bike. And then, yeah, the only other thing I think that's really important to highlight, because it's been really helpful. A company in Vancouver called Grin Technologies makes my center console there, and they are practically the best e-bike kit company in the world. And they basically sell a set of kits that you can bolt an electrification kit onto any bike, and their console is awesome. It's designed to work with any situation, any setup, and as a result, they actually have a solar input that I have co-opted to measure my human power. And that's why you can see how much power you're producing, because I've basically got a little feed going in. So unlike a lot of commercial e-bike consoles that don't really tell you what's going on, this tells you everything.
Yeah.
Tells you how many amps you pulled out of the battery, how far you've gone, your state of charge, what you got back for regen. Like at the end of the day, I can go home and I can see that I got 13% battery back on regen.
Wild. That's sweet.
So it's a pretty cool thing.
And how many watts? So how many watts is the battery, and like how many hours do you generally get out of it? Because it's kilowatt hours, right?
Yeah, basically. So it's actually a pair of batteries, just for redundancy. So if one battery in battery management system goes down, you can still limp home. And it's two 72 volt 20 amp hour packs for a 40 amp hour pack in total, which equals about 3 kilowatts of power, or 3,000 watt hours of power. And depending on how fast you go, because it's really a question of how much energy you're drawing out. If I keep it at 32 kilometers per hour, that's good for a 200 kilometer range, which is, let me do the math here, 3,200 divided by 32, approximately 6 hours in the saddle. But the key thing is that with
regenerating that whole time.
And with a 200 kilometer range, for my day-to-day driving in the city, I never exhaust it. So I just go home and I plug it in, and it's charged and ready to go the next day.
Very cool. And so how many watt fast charging is it? Like, is it, what's 0 to full charge kind of thing?
Well, so that's actually really a function of how mean you want to be to your batteries.
Right.
You could throw, these batteries can handle 3C charge, so they could handle being charged in about 4 hours, but that would be really damaging.
Totally. And they're lithium-ion.
They're lithium-ion batteries. So I actually use a programmable charger. I only charge to 80% most of the time, and that doubles the lifespan of the e-bike battery. And it's about an 8-hour charge. So basically overnight. I do, when I'm going on longer trips, and if I want to stop and charge, I do carry a bigger charger that is a 15 amp charger, but my regular charger is a nice gentle 5 amp charger. And that has been great, because not only does it prolong the life of your batteries, but it means you're not petrified that you're going to burn your house down.
Right.
Because you're not throwing huge amounts of current into your batteries and challenging them all the time.
Totally.
And in fact, on my prototype bike, I've still got the original battery from my prototype bike. It's got over 20,000 kilometers on it, and it's still at about 85% capacity.
That's sweet. That's really good.
And that, that's a result of treating a battery nicely, and not, just if you run it all the way down and charge it all the way up, you're going to really shorten the life of your battery, versus if you're just working in that middle sweet spot, it's going to last forever.
Yeah.
Okay, not
Very
forever,
cool.
a long time.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah. Unfortunately, energy degrades and stuff. I think that we should get some shot of these welds because those are
Yeah,
those are
done by,
incredible welds.
by Straight Metal out in Sydney.
Sweet.
They normally weld boats, but the owner, Rod, was very kind and said, "Oh yeah, bring it in. We'll weld it up." And they did me a good deal and welded up 5 frames all at once.
Wow. Boom. There you go.
And now I've got one more left. So if you want it, it's yours.
There you go. Very cool. Okay, so unfortunately, the mic decided to stop working right at the end, but we got to say goodbye to each other, which was super cool. He ripped it around and just showed it how it took off. Lovely experience. This bike is so cool. I think it could totally be the future of transportation or bikes like it. And the maneuverability is crazy. Like, look at this thing go. Just like able to do figure eights and like fully lean it over. So sweet. So sweet. And then you can see him take off here again. You don't even have to put the kickstand up. You just pedal away and there he goes. Bye-bye.